Coming up next on Travelers.
Right.
So there's actually then many countries all along the street, in effect.
Yes, all along the street. Yes, I never thought of it that way, but that's so.
There's something like 170 foreign embassies in the United States. 3 of them are in New York City, and the rest are in Washington, D.C. They're spread out all over Washington, D.C., but there's this one area that I got to visit called Embassy Row. It's also called Kalorama, which is a Greek word meaning beautiful view, and it's where all these embassies can be found.
Barry, this is a pretty ritzy part of town, huh?
Ritzy, I don't know, but it is Kalorama. This is really the heart of what they call Embassy Row, which is really Massachusetts Avenue Northwest.
So this is the front of the Malaysian embassy?
Yes, it is, and you can plainly see it's built to be an embassy. It is not a recycled old home. Where it was 3 old Victorian houses were torn down to build this, and it scandalized the neighborhood, so there haven't been too many new ones built since then. This is the embassy of Zambia, and my thing is, if you don't know where it is, it's in Africa.
It looks like a pretty accessible place, like you could just walk right up into the...
I doubt
door?
that.
Really?
I really do doubt that.
They don't let you just walk in?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
No.
No. There'll be some sort of security.
So this is Venezuela. Now this looks a little bit like South America.
Venezuela, yes. Most of them have things in their buildings that are from their country. It is a showcase. And when you are on the grounds of an embassy, you must abide by the laws of that country. You are, in effect, in Venezuela right now.
Really?
Yes.
All right, now this is the Venezuelan embassy.
Yes.
And you're saying that you can't just go over and have tea with them.
Oh, no.
No.
You must be invited.
You must be invited. Can I just... Oh. It's a little more polite to ring the bell, right?
So I thought I could knock on a door at an embassy and say, hey, can I have a look around? Guess again, naive American citizen.
Hi, good afternoon. Do you speak English? Oh, you don't speak English. Okay, well, we just wanted to say hello. Hola.
Oh, hola. This is a television program about the embassies.
Nice dog. Okay, thank you.
Speak English.
Gracias. Well, we didn't get that far with her.
No.
Now this is another embassy here?
No, this is an addition to the Japanese embassy, a particularly sterile and unattractive addition.
You think that if I asked him if I could come in, should we give it a try?
Sure.
Yes, good afternoon. I was wondering if I could come in and take a look around. You don't think so? Why not? I have to make an appointment? But I don't want to...
Oh, there he is. Hello.
Hi, good afternoon. Hi, how are you? I was wondering if I could come in and have a look around. Oh, I can't do it?
Mary suggested that I try the Croatian embassy. She said, they're actually quite friendly and you might actually get in there.
They have a beautiful flag, and they're quite new in the neighborhood, and perhaps, you never know, they might be more open to visitors.
You think so? Because they're new and they don't know all the protocol?
Well, they're sort of friendly.
Oh, well, let's try it. Oh, here comes someone. I just love this building and wanted to come in and take a look. Could we come in and walk around?
You mean by camera?
Sure.
It requires some approvals by our ambassador. Today is not a good day for getting such an approval.
Okay. Well, I understand. Well, thank you.
But if you'd like, give us a call anytime so we can set up a short visit.
Would love that.
Okay.
Let's say you wanted to go see an embassy or get into an embassy party? Is it about who you know? I mean, if you know somebody important?
Yes. A man on the street cannot be invited, but there has to be some connection.
Right. So,
What are you working up to?
well, all right, this is what I'm working up to. I hear that they're having a party at the embassy for the Netherlands tonight. And do you think you could do anything for us?
I will be happy to try. I'll see what I can do.
Oh, man, you don't know. That would be great. This is all so new to me. Can you tell me about it a little bit? What life is like here as a diplomat?
Well, life is extremely interesting. After all, this is the capital of the United States, but in some ways it's also the capital of the world. Things that happen here are of importance to many countries in the world. So to be here and to represent your country and try to find out what's cooking and what motivates government, what motivates Congress, what motivates the people is fascinating. And that's our job, after all. As an ambassador, you have certain advantages in the sense that if you say that you're the ambassador of the Netherlands and you would like to meet with this or that or another person, and if you have a concrete issue to speak about, yes, then you have access. But you have to have a concrete issue to speak about. People are too busy in the city just to meet the ambassador of the Netherlands because he's the ambassador of the Netherlands. Washington is politics, and politics on the short term. Do it now, and that's a fascinating atmosphere.
From a break-in that rocked a nation to a speech that changed a nation, the Washington hotel scene when Travelers comes right back.
In a city that's known for power, one of the power hotels is the Watergate. The Watergate Hotel is part of a complex which includes an apartment building, a shopping arcade, and an office building. On June 17, 1972, a break-in occurred at the office of the Democratic National Committee. This burglary would eventually lead to the resignation of President Richard Nixon. The scandal made the Watergate name famous throughout the world. This luxurious hotel is a favorite of international dignitaries, business movers and shakers, and performers entertaining at the nearby Kennedy Center.
While the Watergate Hotel has a more recent history, the Willard's history dates back to the 1850s. And at one point in time, its slogan was the residence of presidents.
In fact, 28 U.S. presidents, 11 prime ministers, 3 kings, and 2 queens have all called the Willard their home.
Now, this hotel has a lot of stories, but the lobby has a history all its own.
It's the Willard Intercontinental Hotel. It's one of the landmarks, historic landmarks in the city. And, you know, Martin Luther King wrote his I Have a Dream speech here. Jenny Lind wrote the Battle Hymn of the Republic here. The word lobbyist, you know, lobbyist was coined here by Ulysses S. Grant, because after the Civil War during Reconstruction, a lot of the people that were trying to get influence came to him, and he'd be smoking cigars, and he had a brandy sniffer somewhere in the lobby. We don't know because it was another building. It wasn't this building. And he began to call them lobbyists because they would come to the lobby of the hotel every day. He'd be here, and he'd like, you know, I need this or I want this, and, you know, try to wheel and deal with things.
Tommy Boggs is a senior lobbyist in Washington, D.C. He's from Louisiana. I met him in the lobby of the Willard Hotel, which is where the word lobbyist was coined. Tommy, what is a lobbyist? Can you tell me that?
A lobbyist is primarily somebody that represents an interest, whether it's a corporate interest or a environmental type interest or a public service interest, or labor interest, before the government, primarily trying to express that interest to the government, and hopefully succeed in expressing the interest to the government on behalf of that interest. This lobby, because of its location next to the White House, and of course, when it was in its original days, the building next to the White House, which is the executive office building today, was the Department of State, War, and something else. So, and the Treasury, of course, is right here. So within a block and a half of this hotel, you had the whole United States government, in effect, when the hotel was first built.
He comes from a political family, extremely political family, and he's very well known on the Hill. His father was in politics. His sister is Cokie Roberts, who is a correspondent for ABC. He told me stories about what it was like to grow up with a political family in Louisiana.
How did you get interested in this? How did it all start for you?
I grew up in it. I mean, it's literally true. My older sister used to say, and it was kind of a funny line, that most people had arts of objects around their house, of Oriental rugs or elaborate paintings. We had the Speaker of the House and the Vice President of the United States. Those were our objects of art when we were growing up around the house. And it's very true. Sam Rayburn and Jack Kennedy and Lyndon Johnson were frequent dinner guests at our table.
It was just kind of seasoned salt of the earth Washington politics. The only thing that was missing was a cigar and a snifter of brandy.
Anything wild ever happen in here that you can remember?
I'm sure it has, but
Anything you care to share about?
No.
Some of the greatest thinkers in the world have lived in Washington, D.C.
And we're about to meet a whole new breed.
The Washington Zoo has a project called the Think Tank, and it examines the possibility of intelligence in animals.
One thing I do is that I break nouns up into a couple different categories.
Rob has a really interesting project that he's researching. Basically, he's looking into how animals think.
And I think probably the first big category for orangutans is food. So food gets its very own category. Now all I have to do then is change the inside of that symbol just a little bit to give it some specific meaning. So this becomes a symbol for banana. This next one is the symbol for chow, which is really just a little hard cracker that the orangutans like. The newest symbol we're going to be working on today for AZ is the symbol for carrot, which looks...
He will actually show them the object. And in order to get that object, the ape has to match it up with the symbol on his computer screen, then touch the computer and push forward, as in next question, which they do.
Hold on a second. Let's try that one again. Now we don't worry about mistakes too much. I think they help him to understand what's right or not right, and they help me to understand his progress.
AZ would sit at the computer screen, which I have to tell you was an amazing sight, and he would just rest his index finger on the computer screen waiting for these boxes to come up, and just sort of nonchalantly press the touch tone for banana.
How about, you want to name that for me? That's it. Excellent. But I think that in meaningful, purposeful thinking ways, we can use this vocabulary to exchange information back and forth. Want to have that? You're all set. Good. I think that we can create a dialogue. I don't think, given whatever limits are there, I don't think that we'll sit and chat.
Rob explained to us that it was really important, the relationship he had built up with the family, and that basically he'd known and worked with AZ, and he'd been working with all the other great apes since they were very young.
We have this building, and we have an ape house, which we've had for a number of years, and we connected the two buildings with what we call the O-line, which is this overhead cable system that the orangutans can use to come back and forth. Totally unenclosed, right over visitors' heads. The highest point's about 55 feet high, and the lowest point's about 35 feet high, just like they move around in the wild.
And gives them the choice to cross the O-line and come to the think tank and work. That's one of the most important things about this whole project, is that every day, every second, the apes have a choice.
What we see is they switch back and forth depending on where they've been the day before. So if they weren't at the ape house last night, they probably stay there tonight, and vice versa. If we open up the O-line every morning, whoever hasn't seen each other for overnight or for a day are really kind of in a great celebration mood when they get together.
Coming up next on Travelers, the Capitol Steps. Not these Capitol Steps. These Capitol Steps.
Glory, glory, paranoia. Shave your head and we'll deploy ya.
I feel my own pain.
The Capitol Steps are a kind of a cabaret group. They sing, they dance, and they do sketch comedy, but it's all about making fun of the government. It's pure political satire.
Al, hey, how you doing? Good to hear you. It's Bill. Clinton? I'm just returning your call. What's up?
It was late one midnight. I had just gotten my toughest assignment yet. I was scared. I was sweating like a 9-year-old working for Kathy Lee Gifford.
Yeah, get me Hillary, please. Hey, Hill, it's Bill. Yeah. Listen, you got to help me out with something here. I simply cannot figure out why everybody's acting so shocked and... Clinton.
It is so timely. I couldn't believe how current the material was. So the show is always evolving. They use some things that are older, but they're constantly trying out new material. How did this all get started?
We started 16 years ago. It was 1981. It's an odd story. We were all working on Capitol Hill. And it was truly like, okay, who's going to entertain at this year's Christmas party?
Right.
And it was just, you know, Senate office party. We thought we could do a traditional nativity play, but we worked on Capitol Hill. And we couldn't find 3 wise men or a virgin, so we did this instead. Well, most of the people for whom the Capitol Steps have worked either got defeated or placed under investigation, and eventually, and this is true actually.
Are you serious?
We do this full time. The Capitol Steps have been traveling so much that they started to notice we weren't showing up at our day jobs.
They noticed?
You can really only get away with that if you're an actual member of Congress. If you're a staffer, you kind of have to show up. The 4 presidents have invited us to perform, so that you know, that's pretty good. And they've been good sports. I'd like to read you from my new book, Angry Feminist Nursery Rhymes. We don't call them mother goose. We call them unappreciated primary caregiver goose. Rub-a-dub-dub. Rub-a-dub-dub. 3 men in a tub were networking while they were swimming. Their wives they'd exclude, which of course is quite rude. So all their wives left them for women.
1600 Pennsylvania Avenue might be the most famous address in the United States. The presidential mansion, as it was once known, was built by an Irishman named James Hoban, and it was modeled after grand mansions in Dublin, Ireland.
It fit perfectly with Washington's requirement that it command respect without being extravagant. He didn't want it to look like a palace. In fact, Washington never lived there. It wasn't ready until the year 1800, which is when President John Adams moved in.
Now, the mansion was nearly destroyed by British forces in the War of 1812. It was once again ready for a family after a 5-year reconstruction. But there was a difference. The building's gray exterior was painted white to cover the fire damage. Paint change, name change. Thus, the White House.
This was the first building in the Smithsonian complex. Its architect, James Renwick, also designed St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City. The building is aptly nicknamed the Castle.
The Smithsonian Institute, which also includes the spectacular Air and Space Museum, was named after an eccentric British scientist, James Smithson.
Smithson left his $500,000 estate to found the institution. But there was a catch. If his nephew had any children, the $500,000 would go to them. Lucky for us, that nephew remained childless.
The Washington Monument is arguably the most recognizable of the many monuments in the city, but it wasn't even supposed to stand where it does today.
The original plan put it a few hundred feet west of where it is right now, but that spot was a little bit too marshy, so they moved it to higher and drier ground.
When the monument was completed in 1884, it was the tallest structure in the world, but that distinction didn't last for long. 5 years later, it was dwarfed by the Eiffel Tower.
You'll notice a change in color about a third of the way up the monument. That's because builders changed materials from Maryland marble to Massachusetts marble in mid-construction.
Many people come to Washington, D.C. just to wander around the dozens of monuments. They're all inspiring by day, but as far as I'm concerned, they're most beautiful at night.
One of the more visited attractions of the mall is the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. An open design competition drew nearly 15,000 entries. The winning design came from a 21-year-old Yale University student named Maya Lin. The V-shaped wall of granite contains the names of more than 58,000 people killed during the Vietnam War. People leave all sorts of things in memory of their friends and family members named on the wall. You can visit the memorial anytime, day or night, and if you do, chances are you won't be alone. Can you tell me what the memorial means to you and what has brought you here?
Well, memorial means to me over 58,000 brothers that have gone through that went through the same thing I went through, only they didn't make it back, and I did. And I come up here once a year because of the fact that I did make it back, and they didn't.
Is this a fitting memorial?
No one imagined this wall to come out the way it did. Some were against it, some were for it. I was for it. I think it epitomizes everything that everybody feels. The names are all here. Everybody's here. These guys they all gave their lives to their country, and for them to be here and for us to be able to come here and say hello and revisit them, it's a pride thing more than a comfort thing. For me, who knows? You may ask the next guy. He may say it's a comfort thing. But for me, it's a pride thing.
Thank you very much for your time, sir.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Just do this justice for me.
We most definitely will.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Take care.
There might be bigger and better known monuments in Washington, D.C., but this is my favorite. Albert Einstein, who figured out that E equals MC squared, sits like a grandfather in a little grove of trees on Constitution Avenue. I love coming here at night.
Man, this has been a busy week. It seems like people are rushing all over this town, including us.
Yeah, except for rush hour, that is. Did you guys see those traffic jams?
Oh, that did not look like fun, but that's why so many people use the metro. It's supposed to be one of the best public transportation systems in the world.
Did you know that over 600,000 people a day use it?
Well, so should we. What are we waiting for?
All right.
That's all the time we have.
See you next time on Travelers!
Coming up next, they're the fastest fighters around. High-speed planes and war-stopping jets come alive on wings. Then it's the ultimate do-it-yourself show. Learn tricks of the trade know-how. Professional home repair made easy on Gimme Shelter.